Hello everyone, my name is Bhargava and today let's discuss about the topic user authentication in cryptography and network security. Firstly, the introduction. This presentation explores the critical role of user authentication in safeguarding sensitive data and systems in the digital realm. We will dwell into the fundamental principles, various methods and ever-evolving landscape for user authentication, highlighting the crucial importance in securing our digital lives. Importance of user authentication in secure systems. First one is the data protection, system integrity, and accountability. In data protection, the user authentication is a cornerstone of data protection, preventing unauthorized access to confidential information and ensuring that only legitimate users can interact with the sensitive system. In this data protection, user authentication is a cornerstone of data protection. Means the authentication of the user is the cornerstone of the data protection. Preventing unauthorized access to confidential information means not letting to access the confidential information and ensuring that only legitimate user can interact with the sensitive information means only eligible users can interact with the sensitive system information. System integrity. By verifying the identity of user, authentication mechanism helps maintaining the integrity of system, preventing malicious actors from tampering with critical components and introducing vulnerabilities. Then accountability. User authentication establishes accountability, allowing administrators to track user actions and identify potential security breaches, aiding in investigation and incident response. Remote user authentication principles. The first one is the identification, verification, authorization. The process of establishing a user's claimed identity typically through credentials like username and passwords or biometrics. Verification, the act of confirming that claimed identity is indeed the user's true identity, often through comparing providing credentials to store data. Authorization, process of guaranteeing access privileges based on verified identity, determining what resources the user is allowed to access. Identification, the process of establishing an user's claimed identity, typically through credentials like username, password, or biometrics. Verification, the act of confirming that the claimed identity is indeed the user's true identity, often through comparing provided credentials and stored data. Authorization, the process of granting access privileges based on verified identity, determining what the resources the user is allowed to access. Mutual authentication, client to server and server to client. The client authentication itself to the server, ensuring that the server knows the client true identity. And server to client, the server authenticates itself to the client, guaranteeing the client communicating with legitimate servers. Next up is the one-way authentication, client to server. The client authenticates itself to the server, proving its identity without the server needing to authenticate itself. Then mutual authentication, a real-world example. Examples: online banking. When logging into online banking, the user authenticates with the credentials and the bank server verifies their identity. The bank server also authenticates itself to the user device, ensuring its legitimate bank services. The e-commerce transactions. In secure online transaction, the user browses the authenticates itself to the merchant's website and the merchant server verifies the user identity. The merchant servers also authenticates itself to the user's browser, ensuring the legitimate online stores. The remote user authentication using symmetric encryption. First one is the key sharing, then message encryption, message decryption. A key sharing is a shared secret key is established between the client and server to encrypt the message. Message encryption. The client encrypts its authentication message using the shared key. Means the client accepts the plain text and the key to encrypt the message. Message decryption. The server decrypts the message with using the shared key, verifying the client identity. The message is decrypted within the same key using the ciphertext. It means encrypted text. User authentication in wireless and mobile environments. Wireless security. Wi-Fi networks often requires user authentication to access the network using WPA and WPA2 protocols. Mobile device authentication. Mobile devices utilizes passcodes, biometrics, fingerprints, facial recognitions, and multi-factor authentication to protect user data. Then mobile app authentication. Mobile app employs various authentication methods like notification, OTPs, and biometric to secure user account. And these three, wireless security, mobile device authentication, mobile app authentication, are the user authentication in wireless and mobile environments. Then challenges and vulnerabilities in user authentication. First one is the phishing, credential stuffing, brute force attacks, and weak passwords. First is the phishing. Attackers can trick users into revealing their credentials through fake websites or emails. Means getting the credentials through the fake websites and emails by the attackers. Credential stuffing. Attackers use stolen credentials from other breaches to try gaining access to accounts using from other breaches to get their account details. And brute force attacks. Attackers try numerous combinations of passwords until they guess the correct one. Means they try numerous combinations of passwords and get the correct password. Then weak password. User often chooses easily guessable passwords, making their account vulnerable to attacks like 1234 or the name, etc. And what are the emerging trends and future directions in the user authentication? In this emerging trends and future directions in user authentications are like biometric, using artificial intelligence and machine learning, etc. And thank you for watching my video, and you make sure that like the content.